What is going on, baseball fans, and welcome to episode 3 of Baseball as Intended, which we're calling it the off-season finale because tonight's Sunday, well, today afternoon, right now, it's afternoon Sunday before the Super Bowl. So we know that after the Super Bowl, we mentioned this, is the MLB offseason really begins. But, John, before our Super Bowl predictions, which are kind of very nice predictions, let's say hi to
Yes.
John. John, hi.
Hello. Yeah, we have taken it upon ourselves to declare this the off-season finale. Whether people agree with it or not, we think basketball is always there, kind of in the background. Yeah, you are a big basketball fan.
I am.
But yeah, we get this, and I'm excited for the Super Bowl. But Super Bowl's over, and all eyes are on baseball, so we're pretty pumped.
I think people would agree that this is the off-season finale,
Yeah,
right?
it's
So,
it's not a crazy take. We didn't just make this up completely.
yeah,
Um,
we made some
but
of
yeah,
it. Some of it.
Yeah, we're excited, and there hasn't been a ton of news, so we're looking forward to everyone reporting pitchers and catchers, getting excited for every little thing. I love it. I love when the players arrive. Everything gets me fired up about it.
Everything. I mean, because I feel like every little news is still big news because it's the off-season. So things are still happening. And that's,
Yes.
before we get to that, before we get to the not top 10 list from MLB Network and some records that we have to talk about during the all-time records, let's talk about
Mhm.
who's going to win the Super Bowl. Who you got?
So I think we talked about this. There's no you can't say I know who's going to win the game tonight because I don't think anyone knows, right? I mean, this feels like a real coin flip. I got the Eagles because every game that Jalen's hurts has been really healthy. I mean, they're
Yeah.
just really good. I mean, they don't lose. I think they got the best offensive line. Um, it'll be really interesting. I think it's cool the Kelsey brothers are both in the game. But I've got the Eagles. I also have Mahomes with a rushing touchdown tonight. I'm putting a little pesos on them. What do you
Okay.
think? Do you think the ankle's healed up? I think in a big game, I think Mahomes ends up rushing for one touchdown. You like that a little
I,
bit,
I,
don't
I
you?
don't. I'm not mad at it. I think obviously he's probably better than in the championship game, right? In the
Yes.
championship game, he was probably like 70, 80% at the most, and he still
Yep.
ran for that first down to kind of like seal the game. I'm
Right.
going. I'm going Chiefs on again. It's kind of like a coin flip. I'm going Chiefs 31-28. I think they're. When it's that close, I like to go with the better quarterback. And Jalen Hurts has been a beast. And we talked about this when they started like 4-0, 7-0, whatever. We're like, they're for real. And I
Yeah.
feel like we have the two best teams in the Super Bowl, which is going to be a great matchup. It's going to be close. But I'm going Chiefs, and Mahomes getting his second Super Bowl win. I don't know about the rushing touchdown, but I'm still picking Mahomes and the Chiefs.
Any thoughts on Rihanna's halftime show? Are you excited for that?
I think she's gonna kill it. I
She's gonna
think.
murder it. She's prime time, right?
I
And she's
mean,
been gone for a little while.
so many bangers. Yeah, she's gonna kill it. I don't know who's gonna be. They always have guests and
Right.
whatnot, but she's made some big collaborations throughout the year. So I don't know who's gonna come in with her, but even her by herself she's gonna kill it. I think it's gonna be amazing
I
for
like
sure.
it. They have those prop bets for
Yeah,
first song, and I think it's gonna be "Run This Town." She's gonna start.
it's a great.
Can you see it?
It's a
Right?
great. Yes, yes, but
I feel like it's a lock, but I'm sure she's gonna come out with something else. But
like
if she does, Mahomes runs for a touchdown and the Eagles wins. I'm gonna look really, really smart.
you're
But
you're ta-
let's
you're
talk.
buying pizza if this things happens, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna retire.
Okay.
So we got up there, stove's hot question mark, right? There is hot stove news. I wouldn't say it's super hot. I don't know if you touch the stove right now, you're burning your hand, but it's there's still stuff cooking on there. We had a couple little moves come through, starting you Darvish, 6 years, $108 million extension. With the Padres. The Padres are spending money. The Padres have a little taste of this success, and they are not letting go. We like you, Darvish. You Darvish has pitched in big games. We know he's a good pitcher. What do you think about the contract?
I mean, I love the deal. There's always going to be question marks when you look at how long is the deal for a 36-year-old. He's going to go into his age 42 season. So that's a little bit of a question mark, but he's Yu Darvish. And I feel like he's that type of pitcher. Obviously, tall, athletic. Like, I feel like he stays in shape. So he's going to be able to, maybe not lose a whole lot of velocity, but he has a cutter. He has other pitches. He knows he mixes his pitches and speeds well. He's a professional pitcher, so that's one pitcher that you can see kind of like going into his 40s and still being effective. I love it for the Padres again. I mentioned in the last podcast, I think they're already better than the Dodgers, and they're saying we're better in 23, but we want to be better in 2033 still. And that just goes to show, again, Yu Darvish coming off a big year. I had him in my fantasy league last year. 16-8 record with a 3.10 ERA. That's solid. He's eating up innings. He pitched 194 innings. That is a great signing. I'm happy for the Dodgers and for Yu Darvish.
Well, you're not happy for the Dodgers. You're
happy for the Padres.
Not the Dodgers are extremely unhappy. Yeah. But I agree. I think it's a good contract. He'll be really good for 4 of the years, and then probably serviceable for the last 2. And he has the big time moments and all that. So I like Yu Darvish a lot. I mean, I love watching him in big games. Houston extends Christian Javier 5 years. $64 million. A lot of that is backloaded, right? So it starts out slow. I think he's got $3 million or $2 million the first year with a little bit of a signing bonus, but the last 2 years are $21 million. He hasn't pitched a full year yet in the majors, but looks dominant. Almost feels a little bit like everyone's kind of looked at what, I don't want to give the Braves all the credit for this, right? But if you're convinced that the guy's a stud, lock him up, right? Don't let him go. Do you agree?
100%.
Was it too early? Was it not?
I like it because you're risking it because you haven't seen it enough, right? But then we have the Yu Darvishes on the world, and you got people saying like, well, he's going to be too old. Give me the young gun. He just pitched, or it was a big part of the no-hitter in a World Series game against a hot Phillies team. I love it, right? He sub-3 ERA. Apparently that fastball comes in at 93, 94, but with the spin rate, hitter sees it like a 105. So there's a lot to work on. He's still young, 25. You're getting him in his prime, even before his prime, maybe.
Before his prime,
So I love it, and I feel like the Astros did it again. It's kind of like talking about a team that is like the Padres. Hey, they want to be here in 2033. Well, you know who's not going away, and that's Houston.
Well, and I think I agree with you 100%. You have to sign some of these guys where you're taking, quote unquote, a gamble, right? And I'm not saying it's a huge gamble, but there is a little bit of, he's not necessarily super proven. But you can't just wait for the guys to prove themselves and sign everyone for $200 million. You'll run out of money. You can't do that. So I think you have to pick your spots. And obviously Houston knows how to develop pitching and keep pitching. And if they feel like he's going to be good, I mean, they just went ahead and pulled the trigger. So
nothing wrong with that.
I think it's great. Yeah, nothing wrong with it at all. If you look at it in comparison with Darvish, right? They're getting him for almost half. I mean, a little bit more than half the dollar amount, but you have to be happy with that if you're a Houston fan. Alex Reyes, remember him? Closer, Cardinals. He had his moments where he looked really, really good. 1 year deal with the Dodgers. Not a lot. There's some team options, some incentives that can really bump it up. They said almost close to $10 million. I really like this deal because we talk, and I mean, I'm not saying I woke up and was just like, wow, this is incredible. But relievers feel like they're so interchangeable. You have to find a reliever who's going to have 1 good year for you, 2 good years for you, because it's very rare that relievers hang around for 10 years and are just dominant. So sign a couple guys and see who gets hot. You really only need 2-3 really good arms for the pen. And the Dodgers do need some help. I mean, they're looking up, like you said, at the Padres right now. And every little thing, if you could catch lightning in a bottle with someone like Alex Reyes, why not?
I mean, it's super inexpensive, right? He's coming off, he was an all-star in 2021. He probably still throws gas. You gotta love that deal, right? Like, isn't bullpen arms probably not gonna be the closer or anything like that, but you're not paying him to be the closer either. So not a whole lot of pressure for him. it's a great deal. Maybe for him to prove himself that he's worth maybe a little bit more. He can get a closer role, with somebody like Oakland or whatever later on. It's a great deal. They also signed David Peralta, veteran guy. They needed, and I mentioned it last episode, how the Dodgers outfield roster and the roster wasn't complete. And they signed a veteran guy, 9-year veteran, David Peralta. He's had a okay career. He's kind of like a veteran guy, veteran presence there. Probably gonna platoon with somebody, maybe even Trace Thompson. I don't know what they want, but it's a 1-year deal, $6.5 million. You needed somebody else, right, in the outfield position, I guess, if you're LA.
It does show a little bit though where the Dodgers are at, right? This is a very different situation than where they have been usually. Where we're looking at the Dodgers. Both of these guys, Alex Reyes and Peralta, you're saying maybe they can mix them in here and make the team a little bit better, which is true. Maybe they can, but it's a little weird that the Dodgers are maybe counting on that. Like you said, Trace Thompson, and he's been there for a little bit now, probably hasn't developed into what they wanted him to be. Maybe he is what he is at this point. That's not really a knock on him. I mean, everyone doesn't turn into a superstar, but it's a weird spot where the Dodgers are. Now, they do have a deep farm system still. They say people are coming up and they're going to pick up right where they left off. And it kind of feels like they will. They have that just winning culture now. It's incredibly annoying. They win 100 games every single year.
Yep.
But, they're going to need these guys to step up if they want to keep doing that. And I feel like that's a little bit of a weird spot for the Dodgers.
But, again, it's a 1-year deal. Same with JD Martinez deal. It's a 1-year deal. So they're kind of taking it like these veteran guys they're bringing in, but on 1-year deal, maybe before they can sign a big contract like an Ohtani, maybe go after Machado next offseason, or just wait for the young guys to keep developing. So, you can't be mad at that deal either, but it's just weird, like you say, because
it's a bridge. They're like bridging this year, right? They're just trying to get through this year, and not that their expectations aren't high. I think they're always high, but they're not going to just ruin what they got going on for this year. So they're saying, hey, if we got to mix and match a little bit this year for the better of the franchise going forward, we'll do that. And I think, truthfully, it's smart. It's smart. You're not going to trade away your prospects. You're not going to spend a ton of money. Like you said, there's no reason, and I wouldn't necessarily want this, but there's no reason they can't get Ohtani, right? There's no reason they can't get someone. I know, it makes me sick.
Must be nice to be a Dodger fan, I would imagine. Yeah. I don't know. We as a Red Sox fan, it probably wasn't nice for them in 2018 to be a Dodger fan, but they have a good future ahead of them, and they can look.
Attaboy.
Look at that. Yeah, I had to throw it in there.
Good shot there.
Last. I guess this one was a trade. It wasn't as a signing, but Oakland making moves and the Marlins making more moves. They traded Puck for Bleday, former first rounders. I mean, I don't have much. Puck is a nice little arm there addition for the Marlins. Bleday hasn't really panned out, but he's still young, only 1 year, right, in the big leagues. Anything about this? The Marlins are still a 4th place team, so.
So, Bleday, did we get that backwards?
What?
Oh, yeah, no. Bleday went to Oakland, right? Is that what you said?
I said Ace and Marlins. Well, I didn't say which guy was coming from what team. But yeah.
I think sorry, that was
my bad.
I got us rattled there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like you said, they're former first round picks, different years. I think 2016, 2019. There's not much here, right? And I think it's mainly because the teams aren't really going anywhere. I think Bleday probably has the most upside, even though he hasn't shown it. I mean, he hit like 160 last year. I think it was his rookie year, couple home runs. You can always take a chance, I think, on those first round picks that started off slow, because you never know. Maybe it just took them a little longer to develop. But not necessarily mad about it.
Yeah, no, it's one of those deals that maybe in the future we'll look back and go, oh, remember that trade? But I think as of right now is nothing much. So I think we can move to the kind of like more important stuff. No, is it important
it's all
stuff?
Important, Yeyo.
No, this is really important. MLB Network again, they always come up with their top 10 lists. Now they're working on their top 100 list. The top 10 list, they use what they call the shredder, which is kind of like based on like the last 3 years. But COVID, they take it, it's weird, right? And it always gets people talking. There's always
Oh yeah.
snubs out there that there's some players that should have been in the list. Wait, what? That guy's on the list and whatnot. Who's number one? It's kind of like almost like a off-season award for some people. So we're gonna go through the list. We're gonna mention the top 10 and who we would have thought to be the number 11 and create our own lineup, right? Here, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see the screen, the catchers, and that list for the catchers. At number 1, no surprise, JT Realmuto. He was number 1 the previous year. That number in parentheses is the previous ranking from last year. So Will Smith at number 2, Adley Rutschman at number 3. We're probably gonna see him at number 1 next year. That's my take. Sean Murphy at number 4, Wilson Contreras, Alejandro Kirk at number 6, Travis Darnot. We got Salvi, Danny Jansen, and Tyler Stevenson rounding up the top 10. Obviously, there's 5 players that weren't ranked last year, and we got 2 Braves on the list. Interesting. The Braves have like every single player, but we're not gonna kind of like dive into the list in itself. But anything that jumps out at you, other than I said my take, Adley's gonna be number 1 next year. Other than that,
yes. So I actually like. I don't know that there's a ton of controversy on this one because I think the top 5 are pretty strong.
Yep.
And then after that, you can kind of and I think on most of them, I mean, there were some things that stood out for us, that we were like, oh, that's off. Nothing really all that off here. I like Adley at number 3. I don't know that you can put him at number 1 right away, even though we're all saying he's probably going to be the best catcher in baseball, at some point in his career. But I did like the list. And even with that said, they left a couple guys off the list, we thought, right?
Yeah, and we had 2 names. I think like with every position, we were like, oh, it's between these 2. For catchers, there weren't that many. I don't think, as you can see, based on looking at the top 10 list, there's not a lot of great catchers. We had William Contreras, so the other Contreras, right? Wilson signed with the Cardinals. William Contreras had a nice little year, right? And then we also looked at Cal Raleigh from Seattle. He hit that big home run to kind of clinch the Mariners finally back into a playoff spot. And we both agree. Now, we work together in this. There's going to be a lot of disagreements in future episodes or whatever, but we had to come together, John and I, as a team. And we went with William Contreras. That's our number 11 and our starting catcher. I'm happy about that. I'm happy. Young guy, a lot of upside, 20-plus home runs already. If he hits 30, we can't be surprised. And if he hits 30, he's going to be on this list next year.
Yeah, 100%. I think you'll see that a little bit as we go on. There's a little bit of a trend in some positions, and we'll kind of explain it where we went a little bit young because that's kind of the way to get some value, right? When you see a guy, Contreras did have a good year. He didn't necessarily play like a full season. I mean, I know he was on the team and participating, but he wasn't, the number 1 day in and day out. Got voted into the All-Star game. So we've got an All-Star catcher, if anyone's wondering.
Literally.
Young guy. And he's really good. I mean, there's no doubt about it. I love him. I love him at catcher. This is our team. I'm emotionally attached to these guys now.
And
so
also,
I will be rooting for all these players throughout the season.
At the very end of the list, we're going to give you our batting order. We also came up with a bench because there were some tough decisions. So this is not the last time that we're going to mention Cal Raleigh because every team needs a backup catcher. We'll just say that. Moving over to starting pitchers, the top 10 for the MLB Network top 10 was Corbin Burns at number 1, Justin Verlander, Carlos Rodon, Max Scherzer, Sandy Alcantara, Cy Young Award winner, Shohei Ohtani. We got Max Fried, Zach Wheeler at number 8, DeGrom at number 9, and Julio Urias at number 10. And that's the list. So I still can't believe Sandy's at number 5. I get it. Corbin Burns is nasty. But Justin Verlander and Sandy, they just won Cy Youngs. Carlos Rodon at number 3. But again, the shredder taken into consideration, I guess, 3 years or whatnot. But
the shredder got this one wrong. I mean, I don't necessarily have a big issue with the top 10. I'm looking at the order, though, and I don't love it, to be honest with you. I don't. Sandy is an absolute stud. I still think, and we said this, I mean, DeGrom, I know it comes with health, but I'm probably taking him over Scherzer. I don't know if I jump him over everyone on that list, but I'm just comparing those. And I'm thinking of a big game, a game 7, someone who could pitch out of jams and grind through 7 innings. I love Max Scherzer. I'm a Mets fan, but his arm has been jello towards the end of the year.
I mean,
DeGrom's
if
arm
health
has also been a little damaged. But yeah, I mean, the list is a little bit out of whack. Don't necessarily hate it, but they did leave a lot of good guys for us.
a lot of good guys, some Cy Young, some people that got some Cy Young votes, couple Yankees. We do have Dylan Cease, who had an amazing year for the White Sox. We had Garrett Cole. We got Nestor Cortez. I mean, it's not a fluke at this point. Like, it cannot be a fluke. He's going to play for Team USA, and he's probably going to try to show that it's not a fluke. And our last two are Framber Valdez from the Houston Astros and Zach Gallen. Like, this top 5, we have a great rotation. We're obviously left a lot of good names out that should have been mentioned, or maybe even added to the list. But we're so happy with our rotation. We got 3 righties, 2 lefties. I mean, studs.
No. We feel great. Yeah, we feel like each one was a diamond in the rough. I mean, yeah, our lineup spoiler is going to score a lot of runs, and our pitching spoiler is not going to allow a lot of runs. So this is a terrific lineup. We're very proud of it.
And we can have a couple Cy Young candidates there, I think, so
I'd love it.
So we'll see. And they are Cy Young candidates almost every year, so we'll see what happened with that. Now, moving over to shortstop, and this is kind of like the one that a lot of people gets going, especially because it's so good, especially that top 5, top 6. We got Trey Turner at number 1, Carlos Correa at number 2, Sander Bogarts, Corey Seager, Lindor, Dansby Swanson is number 6, Bo Bichette, Willie Adames, Tim Anderson, and Wander Franco. Give us Jeremy Pena, the ALCS and World Series MVP. Like, what? Right? Like, I get it. The Shredder, he wasn't doing anything in 2020, whatever. He just came off of one of the most historic world or postseason performances of all time. He's still young. He
looks like he reminds me of Carlos Correa. Does he not? Same. He's a big guy. He's a big shortstop. He's got that cool, calm, and collected attitude out of him, about him, and he dominated. Now, with that, we're talking about going young. We did go young with Jeremy Pena. We feel like Pena's a little bit proven just because of what he's done already. But we were thinking about O'Neal Cruz.
And we were thinking
heavily about O'Neal Cruz.
And Gunnar Henderson. They were kind of very similar. Yes, very similar, both of them.
Because there's some prospects. And I wouldn't be surprised if all 3 of those guys are on the list next year. I mean, not guaranteed, obviously.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be a crazy surprise. But we obviously have them on the bench. God forbid anything happens to Pena. We don't regroup here.
No.
Here at the Baseball as Intended, franchise. We reload.
I mean, and Tommy Edman, right? +6+ WAR season. He can play multiple positions, switch hitter. Yeah, you can. He's definitely going to be on our
presence.
He's going to be on our bench. Somebody that we kind of wanted to add, but it's like, you haven't been good, Javi Baez. We got to mention, hoping for a bounce back year for Javi Baez. Detroit moving the fences in. Second year in Detroit. Hopefully that can help him. So he just needs to stop swinging at balls and just cut down the strikes.
Would you say we gave Javi a thumbs down?
We gave Javi a thumbs down. He won't be on the bench. But you know what? They have Wander Franco at 10th because he was the number 1 prospect. He was very good that first year, but he didn't really play much last year. So it was interesting to see Wander there.
Yeah, it was interesting that he hung on to that 10th spot. But yeah, it's still a big prospect.
Still good.
Good ceiling.
He's going to be playing for Team DR, probably playing some second base and shortstop as well. We'll see what he does there in the WBC. I can't stop thinking about the WBC. I am so sorry. Moving over to second base. Number 1, I think everyone can agree or should agree that Jose Altuve is still the number 1 second baseman. We got Jeff McNeil, Andres Jimenez, Marcus Semien, Brandon Lau, Jorge Polanco, Brendan Donovan, Ketel Marte, Colton Wong, and 10th, Gleyber Torres. What do you think?
Andres Jimenez has skyrocketed up that list, huh?
Not everything's about the Mets or former Mets. It's
It
not.
is. It is.
Oh my
I
God.
love him. I like Simeon, and I think the bottom part of that list gets kind of weak.
It
To be
gets kind
honest
of
with
weak.
you,
It does get weak.
big names, but not guys that have been like Marte was obviously number one, right? You know, the year before.
Yeah.
Not all there. Colton Wong. I mean, Colton Wong doesn't do much for me anymore, to be honest with you.
It's a glove, right?
I like our second baseman, and I'll let you announce it, but I like our second baseman over those probably bottom three, to be honest with you.
Maybe even four. Maybe even four.
Yeah.
Drury is coming off a 28 home run year, career year. Is it a one-time thing, one-hit wonder kind of thing? We'll find out. But he's gonna be playing in LA with Trout, with Otani. Maybe he's even better than what he was this past year.
Yeah.
Give us Drury. He can play multiple positions as well. For our team flexibility, days off, whatnot. He's gonna be great, but he's gonna be our starting second baseman. We gave some thought to Nico Horner, but Drury was just too good
It
in
was Jury.
2022. It was Drury all
Yeah.
along. Yeah, yeah. And second base is kind of weak, so we're happy that we got a second baseman that can hit
Yes.
25, 30 home runs a year. So we're happy with that one. Moving over to third base and talk about a position that is stacked, and especially top heavy stacked. We got Manny Machado, number one, J Ram, number two, Austin Riley, Papi Rafael Devers, Nolan Arenado, Alex Bregman at number six, Justin Turner, Max Muncy, Yandy Diaz at number nine, and DJ LeMahieu at number 10, which is weird because I thought Josh Donaldson was their third baseman, but I don't know. This is what we got.
Don't come at the shredder, Yayo. Don't come at the shredder.
The shredder does not lie. There's some big names, right? There's some big names for third baseman. Anthony Rendon is somebody that should be in this list. He's too good for it not to be in this list, but you gotta be healthy. And like John mentioned, our franchise, we're focused on, we need availability. And Anthony Rendon will probably not bring that. So he's not going to make our squad. But you know who's going to make our squad? Bobby Witt Jr. He was the number
Yes,
one
sir.
prospect. This kid is a stud. What is he, 2021? He plays in Kansas City, so you probably haven't seen him much. But trust me, he's must-watch baseball. He has 30-30 potential written all over him. I mean, he played third base. He's probably going to move to shortstop now that Alberto Mondesi's out, but he's a stud.
So this is again kind of going with a young guy, but it doesn't even feel like a risk, to be honest with you. Like I think Bobby Witt Jr. is the truth. They've been telling us for a while. He came up, he kind of looked like it. Now, I will say, even though how happy we are with him as our third baseman, you did push a lot for Rendon.
Yeah.
Because and I get it, because there is that mindset of, and you were saying it, if he's healthy,
He's
he's
on
a
this
top
list.
10 guaranteed and probably pushing up towards number 5. But we just can't take that risk. We didn't even bring him on the team.
Nope.
Because it's just not there. I was very excited about, and he's on our bench as well, Eugenio Suarez, just because I think at this point he's proven he's a power hitter. Probably doesn't bring everything that Bobby Witt Jr. brings to the table. But as a DH, as someone that you need late in games, again, we picked him over Rendon, which I don't know how much that says about Suarez. Does it say more about how concerned we are about Rendon? We loved Rendon. It's crazy. But third base was deep. Third base was stacked.
I mean,
It's a lineup right there.
give us that power, right? I mean, he's hit 40 home runs before. He hit 30 plus again this past year. Now with no shift, maybe that 220, whatever average he hits for, it's gonna jump up a little bit. Veteran
That's what our
preference.
analytics are telling us.
Veteran presence. Shout out to our analytic team. There's none looking to hire, but we're happy with who we have at third baseman. We have a young guy and a veteran guy on the bench. And we're happy with that one. Now, with our first basemen, or looking at the top 10 first basemen, they got Goldie at number 1, obviously coming off his MVP year. Freddie Freeman, Vladdy, Jose Abreu at number 4, Pete Alonso at number 5, Matt Olson, Ty France, Nathaniel Lowe, Luis Arias, and Rhys Hoskins. So obviously Luis Arias is going to be playing first base apparently for the Marlins. That's the list for first base. I think, when you look at, I look at Jose Abreu, I'm like, They literally, Houston did it again. They got Jose Abreu for Julie. Julie's not even on a team yet, and they just
Insane.
did it again. It's crazy how good they are. But first base is stacked, right? Like when you look at this list, it's like they're all good.
Yes.
You know, they're all good, and I'm happy with who we ended up picking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were between a couple guys.
Yes.
We were between a couple guys. We were between Rizzo and Walker, and we came to a nice agreement because we worked together. Walker is just a stud. He's an absolute stud.
36 home runs hit last year. He won the Gold Glove, 5+ WAR season. I mean, yes, give us that. The other
The
option,
Gold Glove sold me as
Yes.
well, by the way, because it was like we can't just have big boppers out there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so he can hit and he's Gold Glove. Like, I mean, he's right there with Hoskins, right?
It
Is he
has
not
to
in
be.
your mind?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, has to be. I mean, I know Luis Arias, won a batting title, but like, what else does he bring to the table? Give me the 36 home runs out of a first baseman, right?
yeah.
And
We don't care about average anymore.
Yeah,
No, I
it's
do.
20
I really care about average, but yeah, it's not out of first base. I'll be honest with you. This list is what I like in first baseman. Guys
Exactly.
are gonna hit the ball 500 feet. But we also had Rizzo in contention, and
Yeah.
Rizzo did make the team. We like him being still at Yankee Stadium, right? Someone else that the shift could potentially benefit. I mean, he lost a lot of hits, into the shift there.
Yeah.
We'll see how that goes. I mean, his average didn't used to be so low back when he was with the Cubs and really in his heyday. But we're probably gonna mix him in a little DH as well. We'll show you the lineup later,
Yeah.
but that's kind of who we were in between, and Walker jumped
Yeah,
out.
so
at us.
they both made the team. We talk about CJ Cron. We talk about Vinny Pasquantino again, but that's more potential. We already got a couple positions with potential, so we wanted to go with guys that we can trust. And, a little bit of a risk of Walker because this was obviously his best year, but we know what we have in Anthony Rizzo there at first base. Moving over to center field, and we've talked about the top five in a previous episode, but we got Mike Trout number 1, Buxton, Julio, Brandon Nimmo, Michael Harris, Brian Reynolds, Cedric Mullins, Luis Robert, Mike Yastrzemski, and Chas McCormick at number 10. They did really miss out. We were so happy. Listen, when we tell you that we were going back and forth in some of these decisions, not in center field.
Nope. When we don't always feel like experts, we felt like experts here. We were like, they missed it. We got it. Newly minted in center field. Potential, as we said, future face of baseball. Give us Jazz Chisholm.
I mean,
top five center fielder, we said.
How do you put Luis Arias at number 9, but then Jazz, you'd really go in Chas McCormick over him and Yastrzemski? I know, I don't know.
Disrespect.
He needs to be there, and he's going to prove to you that he's a top 10, definitely
Yes.
top 10, potentially top 5 center fielder. And we talked about it. I think right now, when we talked about the center field list, I think I had him 7th or 8th. That's where I would probably put him at. But you know what? We're going to put him on our team, and I'm happy that he's going to be on our team. We have a center fielder as well, good friend of the channel, Ramon Laureano. He's going to be on our bench because he has to be on our team. Of course.
And he's not just sitting on our bench. We love Ramon. He's getting in these games.
Oh, 100%. Guys that are not getting in these games are this top 10 for the right fielders. We got Aaron Judge. Obviously, he's number 1. Mookie Betts, Bryce Harper, Cal Tucker, Acuna, George Springer, Starling Marte, Teoscar Hernandez, Fernando Tatis. Again, right fielder, first season, hasn't played a whole lot of outfield. And Hunter Renfroe at number 10. So, interesting list, but I think the top 5 is pretty solid. You can't,
There's not a lot to disagree with.
Not a lot to disagree.
I can't say that I do.
But looking at right fielder, there really wasn't much, I think, after this top 10. But we're going with Anthony Santander. We're getting a switch hitter that can hit 30+ bombs. I mean, listen, we have players that can hit bombs.
Sign me up. Sign me up.
We talked a little bit about Alex Verdugo, who was a little bit of a different player, obviously, than Santander, but we had to go with the power, of course.
Yes. Now, this one, like you said, I don't
Yeah.
really think they messed anything up here. We kind of had to take what was left over, but we like Santander. Now, after him, there wasn't too much, to be honest with you. Like I said, Verdugo was the next guy, and I feel like that's a little bit of a drop-off. So I like what we got, but I think they did a good job on the right field. I mean, it's hard not to pick everyone on that list. Maybe Renfro's the one, but other than that,
And that's the thing.
damn.
If Renfro would have been out for Santander, then we would have picked Renfro. So, solid defender, and he can hit bombs as well. Moving over to left field, this is the top 10. Jordan, Juan Soto, coming off a little bit of a down year in San Diego. Kyle Schwarber, Taylor Ward coming out of nowhere. Randy Arozarena, Stephen Kwan, Tyler O'Neill, Michael Brantley, Ian Happ, and Eloy Jimenez. That is the top 10 at left field. We have some big names that we're missing, right? Yoshida, that signed a big contract with Boston coming out of Japan. We just haven't seen him, so they're not adding him there. Chris Bryant, very injury. It's just a bad year. He just didn't play a whole lot, but we know what he can do. When he played, he was still solid. And then we talked about Yelich. It's just so unfortunate how, after the broken kneecap, he really hasn't been the same.
Yeah.
And you really like Jock. You wanted Jock on the team. He did not make the team, so I'm sorry. I know Johnny's still mad at me at that one.
Probably. So much for working together and coming to an agreement. That was all lies when it came to left field, guys.
So where did we end up?
Oh, I got bullied into Chris Bryant here. I'll be honest with you. I don't love our left field, and not just because we went with Bryant. This is the one spot where I feel like we are really counting on a bounce back. Like, we're looking at the name, we're saying, like, this is feels like if we had Rendon at third base. We're saying,
we couldn't have two of those. Similar? We couldn't have two of those. And I think, like, that's the thing. We felt good at third base with Bobby Witt, where we were like, we'll take the risk at left field with Chris Bryant, right? Force field.
And it is. Yeah. And we're hoping. And I mean, Chris Bryant, he does have a track record, but now he has two track records. One of being an absolute stud, and one not so much. But, we're going to get Chris in the clubhouse. We're going to surround him, in the lineup with good bats, good guys. And, we're pretty confident he's going to bounce back. But, yeah, left field was tough. At least for me, I thought left field was tough. I like Jock just because I know he's going to,
hit home runs.
Not hit often, but when he does, they're going to go far. And so that was a little saving grace. But, yeah, Chris Bryant's probably the better pick there. So,
yeah, Chris Bryant's going to have...
Welcome to the team, Chris.
Yeah, he's going to have a lot of... not what he's going to have in Colorado. There's going to be a lot of good players around him in our squad, not necessarily in Colorado, but I can see him hit 280 with 25, 35 home runs. I wouldn't be shocked. Yes. He's playing in Colorado. They gave him the big contract. Welcome to the squad. Relief pitchers. And this is another one that we could have picked just 20 of them. What we ended up doing for relief pitchers, we picked one lefty and one righty just because. Edwin Diaz at number 1, Emmanuel Clase, Devin Williams, Evan Phillips at number 4, Joan Duran, Ryan Presley, Andres Munoz, Leon Hendricks, Jason Adam, and Ryan Helsley rounds it up for the top 10 for relief pitchers. I was very happy when I didn't see Josh Hader. I know he had a couple bad outings when he moved to San Diego, but give me one of the best lefties, if not the best lefty relief guy in MLB baseball, or MLB baseball. MLB.
I thought this was ridiculous, to be honest with you. Like, because you got to take things into account, not everything. When did Josh Hader struggle? For the first time almost ever in his career. Well, he struggled right after he got traded. He had a couple rough outings, and then he settled back in.
Yep.
And you're going to drop him from the top 10 for that? No. Give me Josh Hader. 100%. No one wants to face Josh Hader. No one ever wants to face Josh Hader. He just had a couple, those stats with closers. You give up 3 runs without recording an out, your ERA is done for the year. And so I thought they would factor that in. Obviously, they did not. We did.
Yeah,
Haters in the bullpen coming from the left side.
I mean, there's literally no lefties on this list, and it doesn't specify that it's righties only. So we have the best lefty, what we feel like is the best lefty in baseball. He showed up in the postseason as well. He's fine. We're happy. We'll take him shredder if you don't want him. And that will do it for our list. I think, when we look at...
Also, Abreu was our other guy. Right-handed
yes.
pitcher.
Our righty was Abreu out of Houston. A stud. An absolute stud. We saw what he did in the playoffs, in the postseason, in route to winning the World Series. I think that's the future, I guess, closer. I don't know how Houston's going to do things differently, but that's the best bullpen arm. I think he's better than Presley. It just happens that Presley is the one that are using as closer, but give me Abreu. Yes, that was the first name that came to mind for me.
We love that. Yep.
So apologize. I didn't forget about him.
Well, I mean,
I guess I was too into Josh Hader this time around.
Josh Hader stole the show.
Now our lineup. This is how we ended up constructing it. Obviously, depending on our pitcher, who we're gonna face. Again, this is very serious stuff. We got leading off and playing DH Anthony Rizzo, shortstop Jeremy Pena hitting second, Jazz center fielder hitting third. We got Christian Walker, Chris Bryant left field, like we mentioned. Anthony Santander is going to be playing right field. Then we got William Contreras, Brandon Drury, and Bobby Witt. Obviously, we're going to be moving things around depending on who we're going to be facing. On the bench, we got Cal Raleigh, Tommy Edman, talk about versatility. Masataka Yoshida, on base, contact guy. That's going to be a great guy coming off the bench. And, we can alternate him with Chris Bryant as well if he's struggling against righties. We got Eugenio for the pop. And then, obviously, our good friend Ramon Laureano. Like we mentioned on the starting pitchers, we didn't go into 6 and 7 because we felt like we were happy with our top 5, and they could have been a lot more. We got Dylan Cease, Cole, Framber Nestol, and Zach Gallen. And then, obviously, our bullpen, Josh Hader and Brian Abreu. Over-under on this team is set at 86.5. Give me the over.
This is a 95-win team.
Oh, baby.
This is a 95-win team.
We take it.
I mean, and I'll tell you, and maybe it's a little bit not cheating, but because starting pitching is so deep, on that list, our rotation is sick.
Oh, yeah.
For this lineup. Our rotation is absolutely sick. This is a 95-win team. We'll track it. We'll see how our players are doing.
Yeah.
If they're doing well. If they're doing poorly, we may never mention this again. But it'll be fine. It will be interesting to see.
It will be fine. We have some guys on our minor league system that we'll be able to call up, and it will, they will definitely help us out with whatever we need. But yeah, that's our list.
That was fun.
That was very fun to make. That was, we worked at it for a couple of days. We did some research here and there. It was fun, and we're happy with how it turned out. So shout out to the Shredder and MLB Network for allowing us to pick these players. That was a ton of fun. Now, let's wrap it up. We got one more topic that we want to talk about, and it was big all over sports, all over TV, social media, because it was a 38-year-old record that LeBron James just broke. It was the all-time scoring record. So that obviously is going to get us to talk about what are some of the records that will never be broken. And we talk about, but we also wanted to talk about records that will never be broken that go in par with the all-time scoring record, right? For example, looking at the stolen base record, that's more like a steal maybe or assist, right? Scoring records, we think about hits. We think about home runs, something pitching, right? Who do you have as a record that maybe some people would think like it's going to be broken soon, but maybe not as much? Or what's your MLB all-time record that you think is going to be up there just as long as Kareem Abdul-Jabbar's record was?
So, and like you said, this is one of the main things. I don't think the home run record is going to be broken. And I think that's a little bit weird one because people say, well, but players keep getting better and better. If you look, there's guys at 700, Pujols. I don't want to say he got close, right? But these guys got relatively into the same realm. You're like, okay, a couple more dominant, seasons and they get there. I don't think anybody catches Barry Bonds, to be honest with you, because as good as the hitters are still getting, the pitchers are also getting better. The pitchers are getting better. You cannot have those 15 years of 40 home runs in a row that you need, to catch this. I just don't see it. I just don't see it. You look at the guys, the power hitters now. No one's gonna come close. One's gonna come close.
What if they allow steroids back in baseball? Would that help?
100%.
Then somebody would break it. Okay.
100%. Yeah. I didn't want to say that, but yeah, like
I just wanted to ask. Bring it out there.
Maybe. But now the one, and like you said, there were some we didn't want to include. I know people are going to say the Ripken, consecutive games played. But to us, that's also one of those things. That's just not how the game is anymore. It doesn't really factor in wins or how good you are. You could be an average player and play not that he was. But yeah, I don't think the home run record will. It's close, but I don't think it will.
So my pick is one similar. I'm going with the all-time hits record. Pete Rose hit a total of 4,256 hits, which is the MLB Network. 4,256 hits. 42.56. That's a lot of hits. We haven't seen anybody really come close recently. The closest one, I don't know, Derek Jeter ended up at 34.65. That's still 800 hits back. Albert Pujols ended up at 33.84. That's still 900 hits back. Like, that's years.
That's season. That's 5, 6, 7, 8 years away.
At an all-time or a very solid productive years.
Yeah.
It's not just average years. I just don't know who's going to come close. 4,200 is a lot of hits. Obviously, like you mentioned, the same thing. Pitchers are all throwing 100, 105. You're facing 3 and 4 different pitchers every single game. There's so much stuff against the hitters that I just don't know who can come close to that. And I hope we do, because that would be a record. I mean, that record has been there for 24 years. There's no shot somebody breaks it in the next 14, which is 38, where Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held his record.
Yeah.
But that is absolutely insane. And again, we know there's better records like the Cy Youngs and maybe the no-hitters for Nolan Ryan is going to be very tough to break. Yeah, 7. That's difficult because, all these pitch counts and all this stuff. Like, we literally just saw a no-hitter in the World Series, right? Nolan Ryan was never coming out of that game if it was 6 perfect. No. So that's just a couple records. A nice little conversation that we can go back and forth until forever. But that will do it for episode 3, our off-season finale. And talking about finale, walk it off, John. Any last words?
Well, this is it. I'm baseball is here pretty much. I mean, this is Sunday. By the time this gets released, it's all baseball. I love everything about spring training. Not to keep beating a dead horse like we said, but spring training now is going to be a little bit shorter. They're probably ramping it up a little bit more as some of these guys go to the WBC. I get excited for everything. I get excited for the batting practice home runs, when pitchers are throwing to their lineup. So I'm excited just to see how it all plays out. I'm also excited for the Super Bowl tonight we're excited for that not to end because we're ready for baseball. It's just kind of a marker, but it's going to be a good game. And just see the last couple loose ends that get wrapped up. Like you said, there are still a couple players out there. Yuli Gurriel, probably not washed up completely, right? There's some guys that are still looking for teams. And we'll see WBC. Do any of those guys do so well that maybe they latch on somewhere? So I'll be keeping an eye on them.
Excited for the Super Bowl, excited for the offseason to begin, excited for World Baseball Classic, excited for baseball. And if you're excited for baseball, drop a follow here on Spotify, Apple. What a transition, my goodness.
Wow.
YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. Make sure to follow us everywhere for a ton of baseball content like this. So if you enjoyed it, make sure to, follow us and like it wherever you can like it or whatnot. Rate it. I think that's another option you can do. Give us a 5-star rating. Anyways,
5 stars.
We'll check you out either during the week if something happens or next week for our episode 4 or maybe 3.5 again during the week. But thank you so much for listening or watching, and we'll check you out next time.
See you guys next week.